Hey everybody, welcome back to Brain Better. Today we're going to go over the 6 tips on how to improve relationship communication. Make sure to watch until the end of the video because every single communication tip that we're going to show you in this video will be applicable in all kinds of interpersonal relationships, be it with your partner, your family, your friends, or absolutely anyone. Also, if you find this video value-adding, make sure to subscribe to our channel so that we can continue to provide more values to you through our videos. Now, let's get straight into our topic today, 6 tips on how to improve relationship communication. Indeed, communication is one of the most important keys to any relationship, but it's also one of the most common issues people struggle with. Communication is like a double-edged sword. Use it right and it will bring people closer together. Use it wrong, it can drive a wedge between people and even destroy relationships. Cultivating healthy communication is not something that happens overnight. Don't worry about being perfect. It's all about making progress day by day. So how do we improve our interpersonal communication skills? Number 1, before you enter into any conversation, it's important to know your goal. Setting a goal helps us to be intentional and enables us to propel towards the right direction in any conversation. Knowing your goal is also essential to having a productive conversation. Some of the healthy conversation goals we can have include gaining better understanding of each other, establishing a shared meaning in disagreement, finding solutions, and strengthening relationships. Entering a conversation, especially the difficult ones, with the wrong goal can be disastrous and can often end up creating a hostile environment. Some of the unhealthy conversation goals we should avoid include seeking victory, punishing, blaming, and criticizing. Now that you have set the right conversation goal, let's move to the second tip. Number 2, practice reflective or active listening. Before you speak, learn to listen first. This is super important. We cannot control how other people talk, but we can always control how we listen. There's a Bible verse that says, "Be quick to listen, slow to speak." Yes, God definitely gave us 2 ears but only 1 mouth for a reason. When you listen, give the other person the gift of undivided attention. Be fully present and engaged in the conversation. Make them feel like they're the most important person in the world when they're talking to you. Next, understand what the other person is looking for when they speak to you. Are they just looking for information? Are they seeking a solution? Or are they just looking for emotional support? Understanding what the other person is looking for is extremely important as it determines what kind of response or approach we should be using. If they're only looking for emotional support and we fail to identify that and immediately offer them all sorts of solutions, they will only feel like their emotions and feelings are diminished. One of the biggest problems in communication is listening while waiting for the chance to jump in and counterattack or get your point across. It's important to remember that when we listen not with the intention to reply, but to seek understanding first. And it's not just what you hear, it's what you hear and see. The Moravian's rule says that communication consists of 7% of actual words, 38% of tone, and 55% of nonverbal expressions. Therefore, observe the other person's body language, observe their tone. You can already tell a lot from all these nonverbal cues, and if they are looking for emotional support, listen with empathy. Acknowledge and validate their feelings. Do not judge them. Instead, create a safe and welcoming environment for them to share their thoughts and emotions freely. Being a good listener is not an easy task, and not all conversations are pleasant or fun for us to be part of. However, listening is an act of love, and it's one of the best gifts you could give to anyone. Therefore, let us learn not to be a selective listener who only tunes in at points where we are interested in, but let's be an empathetic and loving listener who shows support and love for people around us. Number 3, don't make the conversation all about you. Whether you are just meeting someone for the first time, or whether this is someone whom you have already known for years, the easiest way to make friends or develop real relationships is to be genuinely interested in other people. Don't make the conversation all about you. Ask questions. Find out more about the other person. And this is also extremely helpful when you're meeting someone for the first time and you don't know how to start a conversation. Ask something related to what the other person likes. If they like to play tennis, ask them who's their favorite tennis player. If they like traveling, talk about the countries they've visited. If they love dogs, ask them to share their dog stories. When you find out the other person's interest and you ask the right question about it, you can be sure that the conversation will go on forever and ever. Encourage the other person to talk about themselves. Make them feel important. People always love to be with those who are genuinely interested in them. Remember, don't make the conversation all about you. Number 4, do not criticize. In one of the greatest books written of all time, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie started the first chapter of the book with the principle, do not criticize. No matter how right you think you are, or how wrong you think the other person is, Dale Carnegie emphasized again and again that we should never criticize, because the moment we start criticizing, we will immediately put the other person on a defense mode, and it will only make them try even harder to justify themselves. Criticism hurts someone's pride, incurs resentment, and the saddest thing of all is it often still leaves the problems unresolved. Learn to put yourself in their shoes. They may have their reasons for doing all those things. Be humble and keep an open mind to allow for the possibility that you may be wrong. Try to see where they're coming from, and when you start doing that, you will also open a door for them to want to see things from your perspective. And remember, next time when you're really angry and tempted to criticize someone, do this simple exercise by taking 10 deep breaths. Let your anger pause, and then you can start communicating. Number 5, do not dismiss. Dismissing someone's opinion basically means you completely disregard the other person's perception and deem it as unimportant. Or another definition that comes up on Google is treat something as unworthy of serious consideration. Just like criticism, dismissing someone's opinion is just as damaging to any relationship. It is a very disrespectful act, and it's extremely insulting to the other person. And you do not want to do this to people around you, including your kids, because frequent dismissal can have a detrimental impact on their self-esteem, and it will really make them question their self-worth. It will also greatly affect your communication with other people in the future. So even if you really think that the other person's opinion is silly and absurd, learn to still validate their thoughts and experiences. Make them feel safe to share anything with you. Don't make them second-guessing themselves every time they talk to you. And remember, it does not mean you have to agree with them. You can still disagree while still acknowledging their perception. And when the other person sees your effort in trying to understand where they're coming from, it will open up a line of communication. Remember the law of reciprocity. It always works both ways. Number 6, be open, honest, and transparent. This is extremely important, especially if you want to build a deeper relationship with someone. Before you demand the other person to be open, honest, and transparent, remember that it has to start with you first. If you never open up yourself, then you cannot expect the other person to do the same with you. Of course, it takes time to build trust with other people, but when you allow yourself to be vulnerable in a relationship, you are indirectly telling the other person that they are important to you, and this will also create a safe environment for the other person to be transparent with you. And another tip is generally most guys, well, it certainly does not represent every single man on earth, but men generally seldom open up themselves or share their feelings. It's perfectly normal. It does not mean you're not important to them. They just need more time to get to that level of openness. But what you can do, especially if he's your partner, is to be patient and be there for him when he opens up to you. Do not dismiss his emotions when he finally opens up himself, because if you do that, you might close his door to express his feelings for good. Now that we've covered all 6 tips on how to improve relationship communication, check out this playlist of our videos that cover other topics related to communication and interpersonal relationships. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on all these value-packed videos on leadership, psychology, mindset, and so much more. See you in the next video. Bye!